Commander Zarkon had seen death in countless forms. He had watched entire planets burn, armies crumble, and civilizations fall. Yet, nothing had ever worried him as much as what he had discovered about humans. The alien veteran stepped onto the polished floor of the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber, his armor scratched and dented from past battles, his cape tattered at the edges. His eyes, deep and sharp, scanned the council members seated before him. These beings, proud and confident, had never met a true human soldier. They didn't know what they were about to face. "I come with a warning," Zarkon began, his voice echoing in the chamber. Every word carried weight, and every pause was filled with the tension of someone who had survived wars no one could imagine. "Do not underestimate the humans. They are small, yes, weak in appearance, and primitive by your standards, but their strength, their courage, and their will to fight, it is unlike anything in this galaxy. If you invade their planet, you will regret it. Deeply." The council erupted in laughter. Several members smirked. Some even shook their heads in disbelief. "Humans, courageous? You have been away from the stars too long, Zarkon," sneered High Diplomat Virak. "They are not even worthy of our attention. Their weapons are basic, their fleets laughably small. Why do you waste our time?" Zarkon's jaw tightened. He could feel the weight of their ignorance pressing down on him like gravity. "I have seen them fight," he said, his voice low but firm, "and I have seen them win. Not because of superior technology, not because of numbers, but because of their heart, their will, and their unity. A human will not surrender, not when it matters most. You do not understand. They are extraordinary." A younger council member, clearly wanting to mock, leaned forward. "You sound afraid, old soldier. Are you afraid of a primitive race?" Zarkon's eyes blazed. Fear had no place in his warning, only truth. "This is not fear. This is experience. I have fought empires, tyrants, and monsters beyond imagination. And still I say, humans are dangerous. More dangerous than anything you think. When you step onto their world, you will see it for yourselves, and by then, it may be too late." The room fell into uneasy silence, though the laughter had not completely died. Some members whispered skeptical, others rolled their eyes. Zarkon could feel the weight of disbelief pressing against him, but he refused to bend. He had seen worlds crushed by arrogance before, and he would not let it happen again. He raised his hand, showing them the hollow screen of human history. Battles against invaders, wars that seemed hopeless, cities rebuilt after destruction, moments where humans stood together even when all seemed lost. Every time they were told they could not survive, they did. Every time they were told they were weak, they proved the universe wrong. And now when you prepare to strike them, you will see why I warn you. You will see why your arrogance is dangerous. A few council members shifted in their seats, uncomfortable now, but still trying to mask it with pride. Zarkon did not lower his voice. "I am not asking you to fear them. I am asking you to respect them. Their courage is not a lie, their unity is not a trick, and their will is not a weakness. Do not ignore it. Do not dismiss it, because when war comes, and it will, they will fight and they will not stop. And when that day comes, you will wish you had listened." As Zarkon finished, he turned toward the chamber doors. Whispers followed him, some doubting, some curious. But Zarkon knew it would not matter. Humans had no need for the council's approval. They fought for their home, their families, and the life they loved. And if the council refused to understand that, then the humans would show them. He walked away, silent but determined. He had given the warning. Now, all he could do was wait, and hope the council would not make the mistake that so many had before, underestimating the human spirit. Outside the chamber, Zarkon looked at the stars beyond the council's headquarters. Somewhere down there, Earth spun quietly, unaware of the looming threat, unaware of the beings who would soon come to test it. Zarkon's hand tightened around the strap of his weapon. "They are ready," he whispered, "and they will fight." The veteran's warning hung in the air like a shadow over the galaxy. Some laughed, some ignored it. But the humans, they would prove it true in ways no one could imagine. The skies over Earth darkened like an eclipse. Massive alien ships taller than mountains blotted out the sun. Their engines hummed with power, and their weapons glimmered with deadly intent. On the planet below, people looked up in shock and fear. Cities froze as shadows passed over them. The humans did not yet know what was coming, but the soldiers did. They had trained for this moment, and they were ready to fight. Commander Zarkon watched from the orbiting alien command ship, hidden among the Council's fleet. He saw the confidence on the faces of the alien generals, their arrogance blinding them to what lay below. "They think this will be easy," Zarkon muttered, voice barely audible. "They have no idea." As the first alien strike teams descended, humans moved with precision. Soldiers took positions. Civilians fled to shelters, and resistance units set traps in the streets. Unlike other worlds Zarkon had fought on, Earth's defenders were not just following orders, they were thinking, adapting, and improvising. In New York, Captain Elena rallied her unit in the middle of a ruined street. "Remember who we are," she shouted. "This is our home. Fight for your families, your friends, your world. Do not let them take it from us." Her voice carried a force that inspired even the most frightened soldiers. Humans charged forward with makeshift weapons, improvised barricades, and unyielding courage. The alien invaders were stunned. Their advanced technology, meant to crush entire cities in minutes, met humans who would not surrender. One squad of human soldiers managed to disable a massive alien walker by rigging the building it leaned against to collapse on it. The aliens had expected instant victory, yet humans used strategy, intelligence, and bravery to turn the battle in moments. Zarkon's chest tightened with both awe and relief. He had fought humans before, in secret conflicts across the galaxy, but seeing them defend their home planet was something else entirely. Every move, every clever trap, every courageous stand proved what he had warned the Council. Humans were not weak. They were unstoppable when they fought for what mattered. Back in the Council's fleet, panic began to spread. Several alien generals shouted orders, but their commands were ignored by soldiers caught in ambushes, trapped in cities, or cut off from their main forces. The humans seemed to anticipate every attack, responding faster than anything the Council had ever faced. Some aliens were retreating mid-battle, their confidence shattered. On the streets of Paris, a group of civilians armed with nothing but determination and scavenged weapons ambushed a landing pod. They threw explosives with perfect timing, disabling the pod before the aliens could even understand what was happening. Children watched from hiding, and yet they cheered quietly, knowing that even the smallest act could matter. Humanity's unity was a weapon of its own. In Tokyo, soldiers used captured alien drones against the invaders, turning their own technology into traps. Each victory, small or large, added to the humans' morale and shattered the aliens' arrogance. Zarkon knew the Council had never imagined this. No plan, no fleet, no weapon could break the human spirit. Hours turned into days, and still humans held their ground. They were exhausted, yes, and cities were scarred with fire and debris, but they continued to fight unbroken. Zarkon could feel it in his bones. The human strength was not in their machines, their numbers, or their weapons. It was in their heart. The Council had dismissed it, but Zarkon could see it clearly now. From orbit, Zarkon whispered to himself almost in awe. "They fight because they must, and they do not give up." I warned them and they laughed. But the humans are extraordinary. As night fell over Earth, alien ships still hovered, but their confidence had vanished. Humans had begun to push back, reclaiming neighborhoods, striking with cunning and unity, and somewhere in the shadows Zarkon began to plan his move. If humans could survive this, then perhaps he could help them, guide them, and stand with them against the Council's arrogance. The first invasion wave had failed. The aliens had underestimated Earth soldiers, and the humans, ordinary yet extraordinary, had just begun to show the galaxy what it meant to fight for home, for life, and for each other. Zarkon clenched his fists, a rare smile touching his face. "They will never forget this," he whispered, "and neither will the Council." For the first time in centuries, Zarkon felt hope. Not for himself, not for his people, but for humans. The war had begun, but already, Earth's defenders were proving that courage, determination, and unity could change the fate of the galaxy. The Council had expected an easy victory. They had thought of humans as weak, disorganized, and insignificant. But now, watching their forces falter on every front, the generals could feel fear creeping into their hearts. Ships had been destroyed, troops were scattered, and entire battle strategies had failed. Pride, once their greatest weapon, had become their deadliest weakness. Commander Zarkon observed the chaos from his hidden vantage point. He had warned them. He had shouted, pleaded, and demanded respect for the human strength. Yet arrogance had drowned out his words. Now he watched as that arrogance burned like a fire consuming the Council's fleet. His heart ached, not for the invaders, but for the countless lives that would be lost because the Council had ignored his warning. On Earth, the humans were relentless. Captain Elena moved through the ruined streets of what had once been a bustling city. Smoke filled the air. Fires blazed in the distance, and the cries of civilians echoed around her. Yet she never faltered. Every step she took inspired those around her, soldiers and civilians alike.
"Hold the line,"
she shouted, voice carrying over the chaos. "We fight together.
"No one falls alone."
A squad of alien warriors charged into a human-held district, expecting to crush resistance quickly. But the humans had anticipated their move. From the rooftops, snipers fired with deadly precision. From the alleys, traps immobilized the alien walkers. Explosives hidden in rubble detonated, forcing the invaders to retreat in panic. The aliens were trained for war, but humans were trained for survival and for hope. Zarkon felt a mixture of awe and sorrow. He had fought many enemies in his lifetime, but humans were different. They didn't rely solely on weapons or numbers. They relied on ingenuity, adaptability, and a will to protect each other that surpassed anything he had ever seen. And that will was contagious. Every citizen who picked up a weapon, every soldier who refused to retreat, every child who refused to hide, all of it created a force that could not be broken. Meanwhile, the Council's high command bickered furiously. "Send the reinforcements," one general shouted. "No, we need to concentrate on the central cities," another replied. Orders conflicted, communications failed, and frustration boiled over. The Council had expected obedience, yet their armies were collapsing under pressure. The humans had exploited every weakness, every delay, every misjudgment. Even as battles raged, Zarkon could see the human spirit shining through. In one devastated neighborhood, civilians formed a defensive line, holding back alien troops despite being outnumbered. They protected one another, shared weapons, and even tended to the wounded under fire. To Zarkon it was astonishing. These humans, so fragile in appearance, carried the strength of an entire planet in their hearts. A council envoy turned to Zarkon, panic clear in his eyes. This cannot be happening. They should have fallen already." Zarkon shook his head, his voice calm but cutting. "You dismissed them. You thought they were weak. You ignored my warning, and now you are paying the price. This is not luck, it is human courage. They fight because they must, and nothing you do will stop them." Across the planet, humans continued their resistance. In one city, a group of survivors managed to disable a massive alien weapon using nothing more than ropes, levers, and sheer determination. Another unit trapped alien forces inside a collapsed tunnel, turning the invaders' own strength against them. Every victory, small or large, sent a clear message. Humans would not be conquered. By the end of the day, the Council had lost thousands of soldiers and countless ships. Their arrogance had cost them dearly. Zarkon, standing silently on the bridge of a hidden ship, realized something that filled him with both sadness and hope. The humans were teaching the galaxy a lesson no one could ignore. They were not merely survivors, they were warriors, thinkers, and protectors of their home. And the Council would never see them the same way again. Zarkon turned his gaze to Earth below, watching smoke rise from the cities and lights flicker in the distance. Despite the destruction, life continued. Humans were tired, bleeding, and battered, but they were alive. And that, more than anything, terrified the invaders. For no matter how many ships they brought, no matter how advanced their weapons, they could not break the human will. As night fell, Zarkon whispered to himself, a quiet vow forming in his heart. I warned them, and they still would not listen. But the humans, they will survive. And if I can help them, I will fight by their side. The cost of arrogance was written across the stars. The Council had learned too late that underestimating humans was the gravest mistake in the galaxy. And Earth, small and unassuming, stood ready to prove that courage, unity, and determination could defy even the most powerful invaders. The humans were not just surviving, they were fighting back. After days of resisting the alien invasion, Earth soldiers and civilians alike began to take the fight to their attackers. Captain Elena stood on the roof of a ruined building, overlooking a city that had become a battlefield. Smoke rose from destroyed alien machines, and the air was thick with tension and courage. This is our planet, she shouted. We fight not because we want to, but because we must. Protect your home, your families, your world. Her words carried across the streets, into the alleys, and into the hearts of every human within earshot. Ordinary people had become warriors. Mechanics and engineers turned scavenged alien technology into weapons. Civilians who had once run in fear now set traps in every corner, using their knowledge of their cities to outsmart the invaders. Each small victory strengthened their spirit and weakened the alien confidence. From orbit, Zarkon watched in astonishment. He had warned the Council, and now he saw why. Humans did not fight like other races. They adapted quickly, improvised, and found strength in one another. Even when cornered, they refused to surrender. A human soldier would fight to the last breath for what they loved. Zarkon had seen courage before, but this was something he had never witnessed. In Paris, a group of humans ambushed an alien strike team. Using smoke grenades and makeshift explosives, they disrupted the aliens' formations. Children and civilians cheered from hidden rooftops as soldiers disabled enemy machines. The aliens had expected cities to fall within hours, yet humans had turned the streets into traps and the ruins into fortresses. In New York, Captain Elena's unit captured a small alien outpost. They used the aliens' own communication systems to send false signals, luring more invaders into a carefully prepared ambush. Explosions rocked the area, and the once confident alien soldiers now fled in chaos. Humanity was not only defending, they were striking with precision, strategy, and unity. Zarkon knew he had to act. Remaining silent would not honor the humans' bravery. He made the decision to leave the Council's fleet and join the humans. Landing quietly in a ruined street, he approached Captain Elena and her squad. At first, the humans were wary. Who was this alien, a veteran of the enemy? But Zarkon did not fight them. Instead, he shared his knowledge of alien tactics, strengths, and weaknesses. Slowly, trust formed. They needed him, and he needed them. Together, they were stronger than the invaders had ever imagined. With Zarkon's guidance, humans began counterattacking more aggressively. They struck at alien supply lines, captured advanced technology, and turned it against their enemies. In a bold maneuver, a small team led by Elena hijacked a hovering alien ship and used it to destroy an enemy command center. The victory was not only strategic, it was symbolic. Humanity would not only survive, they would fight back with everything they had. The Council, watching from afar, panicked. Their arrogance had blinded them. They had assumed humans would be crushed quickly. Instead, their fleets were being torn apart by a species they had considered primitive. Panic spread through their ranks. Orders became chaotic, and once disciplined soldiers began retreating in confusion. Even civilians joined the fight, carrying food, medicine, and reinforcements to the front lines. Families fought together. Friends protected one another, and every act of courage, no matter how small, strengthened the humans' resistance. They were not soldiers alone. They were a people united by love, fear, hope, and determination. Zarkon stood among them, watching the humans he had once warned the council about. Every move they made, every plan they executed filled him with pride and awe. These humans were extraordinary. They were clever, brave, and unyielding. And as he watched Captain Elena lead a charge that destroyed another alien landing pod, he realized something that made his heart swell with hope. Humanity was not just defending, they were shaping the future. The night sky above Earth was filled with fire, explosions and the hum of alien ships falling one by one. The humans fought tirelessly, refusing to back down. And through it all, Zarkon understood the truth he had known all along. Humans were not just a species to be underestimated. They were a force of nature, a living proof that courage and unity could defy even the most powerful enemies. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe in hope. The humans had turned the tide. The invasion had not destroyed them. It had awakened their true strength. And as he prepared to fight alongside them in the battles yet to come, Zarkon whispered to himself, "They are extraordinary, and the galaxy will remember them." The war had reached a turning point. Alien ships littered the skies, their once proud formations shattered. Yet the humans were not content to merely defend, they were ready to strike. Commander Zarkon had watched their courage, their intelligence, and their unity, and something within him shifted. For the first time in centuries, he felt a spark of hope, a reason to fight not as a soldier for conquest, but as an ally of these extraordinary humans. Landing quietly in a city scarred by battle, Zarkon approached Captain Elena and her squad. The humans instinctively raised their weapons, unsure of this alien figure standing among them. His armor was battle-worn, his eyes calm but intense. "I am here to help," he said, voice steady. "I know your enemy. I know their tactics. If you trust me, I can help you win this war." Elena studied him carefully. She had learned to trust courage, not appearances, and she saw it in Zarkon's eyes: truth, respect, and a willingness to fight alongside them. Slowly, she lowered her weapon. "All right," she said. "Then prove it." Zarkon nodded and immediately began sharing his knowledge. He taught the humans to anticipate alien maneuvers, exploit weaknesses in their technology, and use the terrain to their advantage. Every lesson he gave was immediately put into practice. Humans adapted with astonishing speed, transforming his guidance into brilliant strategies. The first operation under Zarkon's command was daring. A squad led by Elena with Zarkon at their side infiltrated an alien supply depot hidden beneath a ruined city. They moved silently, coordinating with precision. Humans placed explosives in key locations while Zarkon disabled alien security systems. When the charges went off, the depot erupted in fire and smoke, sending alien reinforcements into chaos. From the skies above, alien fleets watched helplessly. Their soldiers were disoriented, their weapons misfiring, their morale collapsing. The humans, once considered weak, were now turning every advantage into a devastating counterattack. Zarkon could feel the exhilaration of seeing his warning come to life, not as a prophecy of doom, but as proof of humanity's extraordinary spirit. In another city, humans led by local leaders set up barricades and traps, coordinating their movements like seasoned generals. Even civilians played a crucial role, carrying supplies, tending to the wounded, and relaying intelligence. Zarkon marveled at the unity he saw. No matter the danger, humans would not abandon each other. Every human life mattered, and every act of courage strengthened the planet's resistance. Zarkon fought alongside them, using his own combat experience to protect civilians and guide soldiers through deadly encounters. He saw humans adapt to alien technology in hours, turning captured drones into defensive weapons and even improvising shields against energy blasts. Every battle was a lesson in ingenuity, determination, and courage. As the humans advanced, the Council began to panic. Their armies were no longer overwhelming, they were crumbling. Ships fell from orbit, elite soldiers were ambushed and captured. and the alien generals realized that their strategies were failing against a species they had long dismissed. For Zarkon, it was a painful reminder of what arrogance could cost. He had warned them, but they had refused to listen. Meanwhile, Elena's leadership inspired everyone around her. Soldiers who had once doubted their strength now fought with unmatched ferocity. Civilians who feared for their lives now became heroes in their own right. Together they pushed back against the invaders, reclaiming districts and even entire cities. Zarkon, standing at the front, felt a rare smile tug at his lips. "I have never seen anything like this," he admitted quietly to Elena. Elena looked at him with tired but determined eyes. "They may have the stars, but we have something they cannot take," she said. "We have each other, and that is enough." By the end of the day, the humans had struck significant blows against the invaders. Alien soldiers surrendered or fled, their morale shattered by the relentless courage and unity of their opponents. Zarkon watched the humans standing among the ruins yet unbroken, and felt a profound respect and awe. These were not just fighters, they were a force of nature. He had joined their fight to share knowledge, to guide, to protect. Yet he realized something deeper. Humanity did not need him to win. They were extraordinary on their own. His presence only amplified their brilliance. Together, though, they were unstoppable. As night fell, fires still burned across the cities, but the humans celebrated quietly, knowing they had turned the tide. Zarkon looked at the horizon and whispered to himself, "I warned them." They laughed, but now, the humans are rising, and nothing can stop them. The war was far from over, but with Zarkon fighting alongside them, humanity had not only survived, they had begun to thrive against impossible odds. And for the first time he believed that victory was not just possible, it was inevitable. The skies above Earth burned with the fire of war. Alien ships loomed in formation, weapons primed, their forces determined to crush the planet once and for all. Humanity's cities, though scarred and battered, stood as fortresses of hope. Captain Elena and Commander Zarkon surveyed the battlefield from a rooftop, the weight of what was to come pressing down on them. "This is it," Elena whispered, her eyes scanning the horizon. "If we lose here, everything we fought for will be gone." Zarkon placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying both her and himself. "They underestimate you, as they always do. But humans do not surrender, not when it matters most." The humans were ready. Soldiers, civilians, engineers, and volunteers moved with purpose, each person knowing their role in the final defense. Across the cities, barricades were reinforced, traps were set, and weapons were distributed. Even children, though kept safe, watched from windows, understanding that the battle would determine the fate of their families and their world. The alien fleets began their descent. Massive energy beams tore through the atmosphere, igniting fires in forests and cities alike. Alien soldiers marched into human territory, confident that this final strike would crush resistance. Yet every advance met fierce, calculated opposition. Humans had learned from every battle, adapting with unmatched speed and intelligence. Captain Elena led a squad into a narrow canyon to ambush a landing party. Zarkon followed, providing tactical guidance and combat experience. Using explosives and environmental hazards, they forced the aliens into chaos, dismantling advanced machinery with surprising efficiency. Every maneuver was precise, every attack executed with courage and determination. From orbit, human engineers hacked alien drones, redirecting them against the invaders. Cities erupted with coordinated attacks. Aliens fell into traps. Their communication networks were disrupted, and supply lines collapsed under relentless human ingenuity. No technology could match the unpredictable creativity of human soldiers fighting for their home. Zarkon moved through the battlefield side by side with humans. He shielded civilians, guided squads through dangerous zones, and inspired the soldiers with his experience. Yet he knew, as he watched humans face overwhelming odds with unshakable courage, that he was not the hero here. They were. Humanity's spirit carried them forward, unbroken even as explosions shook the streets. As the aliens pressed their attack, morale began to crumble. Commanders shouted orders that were ignored by soldiers trapped or cut off. Their fleet, once imposing and precise, was now chaotic and scattered. Humanity's resistance had turned the tide of battle. Every small victory added to the momentum. Every act of bravery became a symbol that no alien force could ignore. Captain Elena and Zarkon coordinated the final strike, a daring maneuver to destroy the alien command ship hovering over the capital. The humans advanced through ruins, dodging energy blasts and disabling alien defenses. The sky burned with fire as the ship's shields faltered under a coordinated assault of explosives, captured alien drones and precision strikes from human squads. Finally, the command ship erupted in a blaze of fire, its destruction echoing across the planet. Alien forces panicked, their morale shattered completely. Retreat became the only option. Soldiers fled to their ships. Generals shouted orders that went unheeded, and the once mighty armada began a chaotic retreat. On the streets below, humans cheered, tears streaming down their faces. They had fought against impossible odds and emerged victorious. They had defended their planet with courage, ingenuity, and unity. Zarkon looked at Captain Elena, admiration and awe in his eyes. You truly are extraordinary," he said softly. Elena smiled, exhausted but triumphant. "We fight because we must, not because we're perfect," she said. "Every human knows that. And today, we proved it. As the aliens retreated, humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. Cities were in ruins, but the people were alive, stronger and more united than ever." Zarkon, standing among the survivors, felt something he had not felt in centuries. Hope. These humans were more than a species. They were a force the galaxy could not ignore. From orbit, the Council watched in disbelief. Their arrogance had cost them dearly. They had underestimated humans, ignored warnings, and paid the ultimate price. Zarkon's eyes, filled with both sorrow and pride, met the retreating fleet. "Remember this day," he whispered. "Never underestimate humans again. They fight for what they love, and that makes them unstoppable." The final battle had ended. Humanity had risen from the ashes of destruction, proving to the galaxy that courage, unity, and determination could defeat even the most powerful enemies. And Zarkon, once a warning ignored, now stood proudly alongside them, knowing that he had witnessed something extraordinary, the spirit of humans in their finest hour. The alien fleet was gone. Smoke still drifted across cities, fires burned faintly in ruined streets, and the air smelled of ash and metal. But the humans stood tall. Wounded, exhausted, yet unbroken, they looked at each other with a mix of disbelief and pride. They had done the impossible. They had survived. They had won. Commander Zarkon walked through the streets, careful not to step on debris or the injured. His armored frame moved among humans who had once seemed fragile to him, yet now radiated strength. He had fought in countless wars across the stars, but nothing had prepared him for this. These humans were not just survivors. They were a force of nature united by courage, love, and an unyielding will. Captain Elena approached him, her uniform tattered, her face streaked with sweat and soot. "We did it," she said softly, almost in disbelief. "We actually did it." Zarkon nodded, his eyes reflecting both awe and solemnity. "Yes," he said. "And you did not just survive. You proved to the galaxy what humans are capable of. You fought not for glory, not for conquest, but for your home, for each other. That is why you are extraordinary." Humans cheered, some crying openly, others quietly hugging their families. Soldiers looked at the sky, remembering the fear they had felt only days before, and now knowing that they had faced it and conquered it. Civilians who had helped in the resistance were celebrated as heroes. The lines between soldiers and ordinary people had blurred, because every human had contributed. Every act of courage, every sacrifice had mattered. Zarkon climbed to a higher vantage point, overlooking the cities he had once thought doomed. He remembered his warning to the Council, how they had laughed, how they had ignored him. And now here he stood, watching humans rise from the rubble, victorious. "They laughed," he murmured. "They always laugh. But humans never fail to surprise." The Council's remnants were retreating into distant space, humiliated and defeated. Their arrogance had been their downfall. They had underestimated humans, thinking them weak, disorganized and inconsequential, but humans had fought with intelligence, unity, and an unbreakable spirit. And in doing so, they had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of strength. Elena turned to Zarkon, a quiet determination in her eyes. "They will never forget us," she said. "They will never underestimate Earth again." Zarkon smiled faintly. "No," he agreed. "They will remember this day, and every species that faces humans in the future will know the cost of arrogance. But more than that, they will know the power of courage, unity, and love. That is humanity's true strength." As night fell, the humans lit fires not of war but of celebration. They sang, hugged, and shared stories of bravery, each one reinforcing the truth that they were more than just a species. They were a community, a family, a force no one could break. Zarkon watched them, feeling something he had not felt in centuries: hope. These humans had taken a planet under threat and transformed it into a symbol of resistance, resilience, and heroism. He realized that his life had found purpose once more, not as a soldier of conquest, but as a witness, a teacher, and an ally to the species that had taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. In the days that followed, Earth rebuilt. Cities rose from rubble, neighborhoods revived, and families returned to their homes. Humans looked to the stars with pride, knowing they had faced one of the greatest threats imaginable and emerged victorious. And Zarkon, standing among them, knew that he had not only seen history, he had been a part of it. He turned to Captain Elena one last time. "You have proven that strength is not measured in weapons or numbers, but in spirit. Humanity, you are extraordinary." Elena smiled, weary but proud. "We fight because we love, because we hope, because we refuse to give up. That is who we are. That is what makes us human." Zarkon nodded, looking at the horizon, where the stars twinkled faintly through the smoke and haze. "And the galaxy? The galaxy will never forget it. Earth had survived. Humanity had prevailed, and the universe, which had once dismissed them as weak and primitive, now knew the truth. The human spirit was unstoppable, unyielding, and extraordinary. The humans had not only defended their home, they had declared to the stars that courage, unity, and determination could shape the destiny of worlds. And in the quiet aftermath of war, Zarkon realized something he had known all along. He had not been warning about humans. He had been witnessing the rise of a legend. The humans had won. The galaxy would remember.